If your classroom feels chaotic by 10 a.m., but you can't point to a single thing that went wrong, I can tell you exactly where to look. And it's not the children, and it's usually not the teacher's personality either. It's the transitions. We've covered what quality looks like and how teacher language builds it. The thing directors almost always misread as a behavior problem when it's actually a systems problem. Transitions, small groups, and flow. Let me do a quick gut check before we start. Think about the last time your building felt loud and disorganized. I bet money it was within 5 minutes of a transition, not in the middle of an activity. When a room feels chaotic, the instinct is to blame the children or the teacher's classroom management. 9 times out of 10, in my experience, the actual cause is unmanaged transition time. That's the time we see lots of issues occur. So fix the transition, and the behavior problem, as we call it, disappears on its own. Let's get specific about what's breaking. According to a NACE article called From Circle Time to Small Groups, it says small group time is recommended to run 15 minutes or less, right? Depending on the age group. When I walk into a classroom and small group that has stretched to 25 or 30 minutes, I already know what I'll find before I even watch the children. Disengagement, wandering attention, children all over the place, right? And a teacher working twice as hard to hold the classroom together. Here's the surprising part. It's almost never that the activity itself was too long, it's that there was no clear ending cue. So the transition itself never actually started, it just sort of dissolved into chaos. Transitions need three things to run cleanly: a visible or audible cue, materials staged in advance, already set up, and a job for every child, so no one is standing without or standing around with nothing to do. A classroom without a transition cue isn't calm. It's just waiting to happen. I have watched entire rooms fall apart over a missing cleanup song. One song. That's the whole system some classrooms are running on. And when it breaks, so does the room. Let's talk about small groups specifically, since that's where I see the most silent quality loss. A well run small group keeps the teacher's attention split efficiently, present with the small group, aware of the whole room. Efficient small group or table based cleanups reduce waiting time compared to whole group cleanup, which is exactly the kind of small structural choice that adds up across the full day. Whole group cleanup for 18 3-year-olds or 15 3-year-olds is not a system, it's a controlled chaos experiment. And I say that with love. Here's what I want you to notice though. On your next walkthrough, I want you to look specifically for this. Don't watch the children, watch the gaps that happen. The seconds between one activity ending and the next one starting are where quality quietly leaks out of the room. And we often lose children in that idle time. And let us go into our live demonstration here, and I am going to put on screen our program quality snapshot. And so this is our tool that we have been building together for the month of August. Right. And so here we have our program quality snapshot for the month of August. And in week 1, we did our daily practices scorecard. And then last week, we did teacher language and guidance look for guide. We built those two tools together. And so you can find the link to this tool in the description below so that you can download and have your very own copy. If you have it already, you can download it and follow along with us. If not, you can just grab a piece of paper and pen, and then you can go back later and download it. It is a free tool for you to use. And so week 3 is where we are. So this is a transition and flow timing tracker. So let's build this part of the snapshot. So I'm creating a simple timing log. 1 row per transition or small group across a single day. So in columns 1, you'll see, and so you have flag thresholds here. So you want to circle the flag box if a small group runs over 15 minutes, or if any transition runs over the 5 minutes with no visible or audible cue. And so here you just want to look at. And so it's just a 1-pager again, but something that we could really use to track the timing, because we often see that things happen, right? As we talked about during those transition times when they are not managed well and when they are not done intentionally. And so here on this tracker, we have the first column speaks to the activity. So you go into the classroom and you say that you're observing, let's say, circle time. Circle time is coming to an end, right? So what you want to do for circle time, you can say it started at, I'm going to say 10 a.m. And then it ends at, whereas depending on the age group, it should be, when you actually end it according to state guidelines. However, and according to best practices, but however, sometimes we see it go on and on and on, right? So I'm going to say it goes on to 10:20 a.m. So already that's 20 minutes, and that's longer than what is ascribed to most age groups in the preschool setting, right? And so you're talking about the total minutes there is that we're doing, that's 20 minutes. And so what is the cue that's used? Is there a visible cue? Is there an audible cue? So once the activity is coming to an end, then what is happening? What are we doing from there? It's coming to an end. Is there a visible cue? Is there something that they put up to say, we're transitioning now? Is there an audible cue where the teacher says what's happening next, right? So you want to identify that here. So you would put that here, what cue is used. And then what was the flag, right? So if it's a toddler classroom of 2-year-olds, then 20 minutes has way exceeded the amount of time that we should have expected toddlers to have to attend, right? To any topic, any activity that we're presenting. So that's the flag. It went however minutes over, right? So it went for 20 minutes. We'll say that went over, let's say maybe about 10 minutes. That was just too much, right? To expect them to engage and attend to. And so for the different age group, depending on which classroom you go into, you want to make sure that you identify what the activity is, what time it starts, what time it ends, and you're going to stay there for the full activity just so that you can see what that transition is going to be like. And then you would list the total amount of minutes. And so even in talking about whether or not we're following the classroom chart, that's a whole other thing, right? Because we are required to do the chart. It's a part of the tools of autonomy. So we have to have our schedule for the day listed or posted, right? But it's not always followed, as has been my experience, right? And so is it aligned to what the schedule says for the day? And if the schedule assigns 30 minutes to it, is it 30 minutes? And not speaking about circle time, but maybe one of the other play times, maybe our small group activities, our choice time, those types of activities you can maybe assign, of course, higher minutes to it, right? Because there's more to engage the children in. And so let's say 30 minutes, right? We have a certain amount of time we do have to have the children attend to choice time, right? In small group activity. But I'm just going to throw 30 minutes out there as a sample, right? And so if it happens 30 minutes, Does it take the whole 30 minutes? Do we exceed that? What is the transition like from that activity into the next one, right? So that's what we really want to look at when we're doing this. And sometimes we don't realize it. We're going through each classroom, we're taking a look, and we're noticing the activity, but we're not really looking to see if it matches what the classroom schedule is, and also how long to actually time it and see how long it takes to see if we're staying within the required amount of time. And then what does that transition look like, right? Because often when the activity goes on too long, then you see children no longer able to attend, right? So they disengage, they start moving around, especially our children that have additional challenges. They especially if it's a behavior issue, you're going to see more behaviors occurring during that time. If you have a child that likes to run, to climb, hit, any of those types of behaviors, you can expect to see more of that during those times when the transitions are not intentional and that they are not engaging for the children. So this is something that we need to intentionally look for and track so that we can identify those areas, those flags, right, that we see on the tracker here has in the last column. But those flags, those things that you want to highlight, because then those are the things that you go back and you build a plan for so that you can help support the teachers to stick to their schedule and to help them build some transitions that are effective. And we actually have another video that we did that was talking about transitions that are effective, smooth transitions. So I'll put the card up here for that. You can certainly go back and watch that. It speaks more to transitions and gives some more ideas. So notice how this tracker doesn't ask you to fix anything yet. It just asks you to measure. You cannot coach a pattern you haven't actually counted, which is why it's important that you track these so that you can even begin to see the patterns and identify them yourself. And so here's the honest limit of this tool. And I'll say it every week because it's true every week. A timing tracker tells you where the gaps are. It doesn't tell you whether your overall daily schedule is even structured correctly for the ages in that room or how your flow compares against the quality rating benchmarks assessors are actually scoring you against. That full structural read is what our program executive assessment does. And we'll talk more about that in episodes to come. And so make sure you go and download the transitions and flow timing tracker that we just did together, just a one pager, but it can certainly be helpful to you. And so it's step 3 of your program quality snapshot, right, as we work through this toolkit. And if your tracker comes back full of flags, don't guess at the fix. The program executive assessment will show you exactly how your schedule structure compares to the standards your quality rating is measured against, with a clear plan to close the gap. And so the link will also be in the description for that. Let me leave you with this quote. Benjamin Franklin said, "By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail." Every transition that falls apart in your building today failed in the planning, not in the moment. Prepare the cue, prepare the materials, prepare the job for every child. And the chaos you've been blaming on personalities will most likely disappear. And so next week, we will close the loop, literally, right? That's the final installment of our series of quality, program quality that we've been going over. But we're going to close it out with the coaching cycle that turns everything you've measured these past 3 weeks into real sustained improvement. And also, just as something to watch next, you'll be with us again next week, but just something to also go and watch. I'll also share that again here, the card here, so that you can go and look at our smooth transitions that work well. And you'll be able to watch that and get more information, go deeper on transitions and the impact that they make when done well. And so until next time, let's continue to elevate childhood education together. Elevating childhood.